For 20 years, Richard Cummings served in the U.S. Air Force.
However, retirement wouldn't stop him from serving and protecting his country. Taylor Austin shares his story.
He was a World War II veteran, ended up out in the Pacific by the end of the war. And that's one of the reasons I actually looked at the Air Force and joined was I wanted to experience what he experienced.
Following in his father's footsteps, Richard Cummings entered the U.S. Air Force at the age of 24. He enlisted in 1979 and started his career as a navigator. Not long after, Cummings would become an aircraft and avionics officer. In 1980, he married the love of his life, Alice, who is also an Air Force veteran. The two were stationed at Mather Air Force Base in California. They went on to have 2 children together while they continued to serve our country and travel the world. After about 7 years, Cummings switched roles within the Air Force.
In 1986, when I was recruited by Air Force Office of Special Investigations as a special agent, basically started off as a typical field agent. So I ran felony death investigations, child abuse, fraud. Because I was already a captain, I ended up picking up commands very quickly in OSI.
During this time, Cummings spent about 3 years in Illinois at the Scott Air Force Base as a security advisor and bodyguard for the Air Force 4-star that was there and traveled the world with him. Cummings spent some turbulent times alongside the 4-star general during the Gulf War. Afterwards, he was detailed over to Hurlburt Field in Florida, where Air Force Special Operations Command is located. Cummings spent his time there as the director for their Dynamics of International Terrorism course.
And basically what I specialized in was survival in high-threat environments. Actually, I came in with those skills because prior to that, I was either deployed or participated in Air Force OSI. I spent a lot more time doing special missions than deployed.
Cummings supported both Gulf Wars. He deployed into Rwanda as a senior intelligence agent for the African Theater. He deployed into Somalia twice and spent time on the Bosnian campaign in the middle 90s. This level of experience about how to protect the force allowed him to coach others, all while still on duty.
We would roll in and either set up low-level source operations, which means we basically recruited people to tell us information that we then used to advise the commander on how to protect his force and his base while we were also accomplishing the mission that we were assigned.
After 20 years, Cummings decided it was time to retire. However, he was immediately contacted after his retirement and was asked to be a consultant for the Pentagon Joint Staff, where he would conduct a review on how they train and deploy soldiers and how to establish mission objectives. After that, he spent time as a subject matter expert for the Justice Department in order to prepare for the 2002 Winter Olympics. In late 2001, as a direct result of 9/11, Cummings was recruited by the Pacific Air Forces to establish a program for their force protection intelligence. Cummings told them he would come out for 3 years to help. However, he ended up staying there for 17 years.
Got tapped with establishing their cyber intelligence program as things changed and cyber became very large. And then also we rolled into their space intelligence programs. So as we combine these 3 elements, the intent was obviously to not only protect forces and missions and resources, but also with the cyber and space, we got well out in front of it in terms of coming up with non-conventional, non-kinetic means of protecting our systems and missions in a virtual world.
Cummings has passed on his love for his country onto his grandson, who is currently in the North Dakota Guard as a military policeman. In 2018, Cummings would permanently retire in Mohall, North Dakota, where his 2 children and grandchildren live. This is only a small portion of Cummings' amazing story.
I spent 38 years, just having a whole lot of fun with a whole lot of opportunities. And I got to give credit where credit's due, and that is to my wife of 42 years. Never failed on the support that allowed me to do those things that I wanted to do and had a whole lot of fun doing.
Reporting for KX News, I'm Taylor Austin.
Cummings says if you're looking to enlist, make sure you're doing it for yourself, not anyone else.
In our next story.